Welcome back, everybody, to some more End of a New Beginning. We are continuing on as the nation of Prussia. It's September of 1862. Well, the question that I posed to my cabinet at the end of the last episode was whether or not we should focus heavily on a navy that can technologically and numerically rival that of the Brits. And the overwhelming vote, in fact, there was only one dissenting vote, was no. Focus on land, let the Brits have the sea. Now, that's not to say that we won't do at least maybe one tree of research here and there. And there was some suggestion that maybe later on, perhaps 1890-ish, we should at least focus on maybe not a huge navy, but a technologically elite one with a number of ships to at least support our colonization efforts in Africa. And I think that's a sound strategy. But for now, we're going to focus on land. So let's go ahead and continue. If you didn't see the previous episodes, go ahead and click on the link in the description below. That'll take you back to the beginning. And if you would, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd hit that like button, leave a comment, watch the video all the way to the end. Those things support the channel more than anything else. And by the end of this episode, we will pose another question to the cabinet, which is made up of all of the Patreon supporters at first lieutenant rank and above. So thank you to all of you who support this channel that way. Your support means a great deal, especially in times like these. So one of the issues I have right now is that I don't have nearly enough equipment to properly equip all the troops I currently have in the field. So something I'm going to do to deal with that is that since I've got my traditional infantry regiments, they're really going to be more like divisions, but my infantry regiments made up the way that I want them to, but they don't have nearly the strength that I want them to. I'm going to start streamlining by eliminating some of the other regiments, particularly some of the infantry regiments that are not the traditional infantry, so like these Jaeger battalions, which could free up some additional uniforms, equipment for some of the other units. So we'll have a smaller number of divisions, but a 100% strength equipped division is better than a couple of weak ones. So we're going to work on that a little bit, and we'll see where we are when that's done. So I've streamlined the types of divisions that I have. I might streamline that a little further and just have the dragoons and the infantry regiment, and then I can start building up the dragoons the way I want them to. But that reduces greatly the amount of equipment that I'm behind on. So that should help somewhat. Let's look and see. Our manpower now, our fielded manpower is down to just 622,000. It was quite a bit higher than that, but like I said, we're going to streamline things, make these units more effective. So that reduction in the number of divisions has certainly brought my power projection back down some. But again, I'm not real worried about that. We're still ahead of Austria. And the main thing now is that we're almost fully equipped. You can see here we're almost caught up on the number of muskets we need, uniforms. In fact, I can probably start slowing down on the production of muskets and start ramping up production of rifled howitzers a little bit so we get caught up there. And once we do that, once we're completely caught up, then we can start recruiting additional units according to the builds that we have. So here's what we're currently working on. I am going to have one thread just kind of catching up on some of the old technology for Navy. I'm not going to build a Navy yet because that would require me to start building up the number of dockyards. Right now I have one dockyard, which is just working on convoys at the moment. And I only have 88 convoys as it is. It takes a while just to build one of them. So we're not going to really seriously work on a Navy until we can build some dockyards to handle the Navy. Let's go ahead and take a look and see where we want to go next with all this. I'm actually losing legislative power right now because of everything, mainly because my political stability is at 0. So let's look and see where else we can work down these trees toward German unification. So it looks like we need theory of war. And I don't know. Yeah, I guess we can go ahead and start doing that now. Here's the state of things with the American Civil War as we're into May of 1863. It looks like the pathway to Lake Erie has been cut off for the Confederates now, and it's largely a stalemate. But the Confederates still have some significant territory. So let's take a look and see. Oh, there's a Russian-British war going on? Oh, I didn't I don't know how I missed that earlier, but Russian Empire and Finland against the United Kingdom and all of her various friends and territories there. Pretty significant one, although you can certainly see that the Russians kind of have an edge. I don't know what they're fighting over or where they're currently fighting, but that's pretty interesting. That's a major, major deal. Let's take a look. See if we can find the American Civil War. It's down here. So it's still pretty much a stalemate. The U.S. has lost a tiny bit of territory, but twice as many men. That's kind of the main thing for them right now. So here you have the decision for United German States, and you can see all of the prerequisites. We need to, let's hold on. Dominican Republic just declared war on Spain. So we need to own most of the most important German states in either Luxembourg or Alsace. Alsace would be this kind of area right here, or we have to own Luxembourg, which is interesting. I guess that's probably part of the Franco-Prussian War. We have to win the Second Schleswig War. We need to win the 7 Weeks War. We need to win the Franco-Prussian War. So all of those things are yet to come. I don't know if they'll just trigger on their historic dates. I mean, we should be getting close to some of those things. It looks like still nothing happening in the U.S. Civil War. There's just kind of pretty content for things to stay where they are, I guess. Okay, Austria has recently proposed the Frankfurter Reformrecht to the members of the German Confederation. These reforms will strengthen their nation by means of some laws and also move the German Confederation toward being a state of nations. The question now is, will we support this reform? It would probably be taxing for our country. So there's an obvious power grab by Austria. We will vote against it. Anything that's going to move us a little closer to that war with Austria, which is what is necessary right now. So we'll see what happens. All right, here's another one. Austria has called a diet in the German Confederation in Frankfurt of the German Confederation, where they will be attempting to strengthen their interests in regards to the Confederation. Every member state has the right to vote on the proposal. Sure, we'll have the meeting, but let's see what happens with the other countries voting on this. I've actually dropped to 4th now as a great power. I guess Austria has passed us back up. Yeah, they have significantly, actually. See, their number of divisions is more than twice ours, but we have 14 more factories. They've got a slightly larger navy, but I'm not worried about that. I'm really not right now. Let's go ahead and take a look and see where we're at on artillery. We're a little ahead on that, and we don't have any field guns at the moment. We're ahead on all of those things. What about Army research? We can go to 1864 uniforms. We're a tiny bit ahead on that, but only by a couple of months. All right, looks like there's combat all along the lines in the American Civil War. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. The Confederates have taken Western Maryland now, so they do seem to be moving forward, but it seems like maybe they're going for the big push to finally end that thing. Okay, here we go. A German federal army consisting of Saxon and Hanoverian troops has occupied Holstein after the German Confederation accused Denmark of breaking the London Protocol of 1852 through its integration of Schleswig. As the protocol stipulates that Schleswig cannot be any closer to the Kingdom of Denmark than Holstein, the other great European powers already declared it a German matter and their neutrality in this conflict. So we are about to go to war with Denmark, it appears. And I'm trying to get my dragoon regiments up to a combat width of 20, and I think I've finally done that. But that's going to require a lot of extra work. Let's go ahead and get our military into place. Move all of our divisions over this way to prepare for this conflict. The Schleswig affair. Send an ultimatum. All the political talk lately has been about the integration of Schleswig and the occupation of Holstein, and it appears it is time for us to become active. Many of our politicians, especially Bismarck, favor an intervention. This could strengthen our position, and we might even be seen as weak if we do not intervene. Yeah, send it. Looks like the Union's making a comeback in the American Civil War. That's a little surprising considering how weak their army was. So we can't actually get our troops. Oh, here it is. To arms. Denmark has provoked us by refusing the Bismarck ultimatum. They have been acting up for long enough. It's time for war. The German Confederation stands to gain Schleswig-Holstein after all. Declared war on Denmark. So we've gathered up this territory here. So now we've got to get our troops moved over to the border with Denmark. I would guess this is going to go pretty fast. Well, we have to take Holstein first, I guess. So let's go ahead and draw the offensive line. Oh, here we go. The Austrians have jumped in on our side. So let's see what's going to happen with this. I want to take a look at the war real quick. I guess it's going to be up here somewhere. Here we go. Prussian-Holsteiner War. Denmark and Holstein against Prussia, Austria, the Kingdom of Lombardy. So we even got some Italians in on this with us. So let's go ahead and get things moving. We've already got a number of divisions on the border there, so let's go ahead and dive in. I don't expect this war to last very long. You can see the manpower difference. Fielded manpower at max of 21,000 up against 1 million plus men. I don't even need the Austrians for this. I can do this easily, completely on my own. Non-aggression pacts coming from our allies. There you have it. We've already taken Holstein. And that's it. Holstein's out. I guess we continue now against Denmark, and we've actually grabbed some, well, we grabbed a dockyard. We'll go to emphasize foreign threats on our national focus. All right, what are we waiting on here, boys? I guess we're gathering ourselves before we move on. 76 divisions marching into Denmark. Really pretty one-sided. We'll just go ahead and let this play out. So it's February 1864. I would imagine this should be over before too long. I'll go ahead and reroute some units over toward Copenhagen. The rest can continue marching this way. I'm hoping just by taking Copenhagen that'll end the war. Let's see what's happening in the U.S., because I'm kind of bored with our war at the moment. Oh, they've taken back a lot of Ohio. I don't know what's happening with the Brits and the Russians. I also don't know what's happening with the... Oh, there we go. It's another war. A lot of wars happening all over the world. A lot over in Eastern Asia. Let's pause for a second because we've got to upgrade our uniform production to the new ones. We need 64,000 of them. All right, so now these units are going to start their movement over toward Copenhagen. It looks like they're going to be largely unopposed in that because the remaining Danish divisions are holding the line here. Oh, there are some over there. Okay. Now we need to get back to research. I don't think we need camels. We're working on Impressionism. That's actually an 1870 technology. I'm not sure why I chose that. Let's do something else with that research. A little ahead on this, but we'll do that instead. All right. This should be over in a matter of a week or so. I think if I take Copenhagen, that'll finish it. We've lost 160 men, inflicted 9,000 casualties so far. Poor Austrians, they're not even going to get a chance to get any units up there because this thing will be over before they get that far. Where's it showing? Okay, yeah, I think Copenhagen's going to be most of the points that we need to win this thing. There it is. Nope. We're going to have to take this territory too. I think his new capital here, that should do it. All right, Russell's conference, Prussian vote. It has become more and more clear that Denmark is going to lose this war, and so negotiations about a peace deal have begun. By Russell's proposal, Holstein will remain a free state and Schleswig will become part of Denmark. What do we say? Bismarck's proposal, North Schleswig will stay a part of Denmark, and the rest of Schleswig and Holstein will be united and put under Prussian control. The German Confederation, as Schleswig becomes an independent member of the German Confederation. Bismarck's proposal it is. That's the one by which we gain the most territory. And that's definitely the way we want to go with this. All right. As soon as we take this territory, that should do it. The Treaty of Vienna. After the peace conference regarding Russell's proposal failed, a new solution was quickly found, the Treaty of Vienna. According to this treaty, the territories in Schleswig-Holstein are to be split up between Prussia and Austria? I don't like that. But that's what we're doing. All right, we'll get our troops out of Denmark. Austria gains, I guess, some territory from this. Yeah, I don't like that solution at all, but I guess it'll have to do. So historically, the forces in that war, the Second Schleswig War, were actually much closer in terms of size. At the outbreak of the war, the Germans and the Austrians only had about, or the Prussians and the Austrians only had about 61,000 men. They added another 20,000 as the war went on, about 38,000 on the Danish side, and the casualties were not that despairing between the two. The war historically ended at the end of October. And the Treaty of Vienna, it was Denmark's cession of the duchies of Schleswig, Holstein, and Saxe-Lauenburg to Prussia and Austria. So we've pretty much followed the historic path of what happened. So now we got to go ahead and pull our troops out, and we wait for the next war. The territories in Schleswig-Holstein that were recently split up between us and Austria will be reassigned in today's conference. The proposal is to unite Schleswig and Holstein in exchange for expanding Austria's political influence. This treaty is supported so universally we simply cannot deny it. So Schleswig and Holstein will be united under Prussian control. Now we can get our armies out because we didn't have a path to get them out before. Prussian reserves demobilizing. So now we're getting our troops. We're going to put them on the border with Austria, thinking ahead of what might happen next. All right, we do have at least, well, we had one new decision. It looks like it went away. Nothing new. We do have a decision here once we have the points for it, and I'm still losing political points because of my political stability. We do have integrate Schleswig-Holstein where we can actually annex them. So we'll certainly do that. And it says, without the Together for Victory DLC, this is the only way to annex them. So once we're able to gain that political power, we'll do that. We could gain a core on them by doing this. Okay, here we go. We've got the points now. So let's go ahead and integrate Schleswig-Holstein into the Prussian Empire. Well, kingdom. We are still working on one thread of naval research just to get ourselves caught up so we won't have quite so much to do in order to get caught up later. And I want to look and see where we're at on the rankings. We're getting a little closer to Austria. We're 16 points behind them now. So the process of integrating Schleswig-Holstein is about a month away now. Once that happens, we will be able to do that annexation. The next war, I guess, if I'm thinking through history right, the next war that we're waiting for will be what's known as the 7 Weeks' War, the Austro-Prussian War, which happened in 1866. So we've got our troops already on the border. Right now we're just trying to strengthen all of those forces, and we'll work on continuing our stability and working on friendship with the Brits. That war happened in June and July of 1866. Gets its name from the fact that it lasted about 7 weeks. And by that point, the Prussians had significantly built their military up to compete with Austria. There were over 500,000 men in each of those armies. Very one-sided in terms of the the casualties, but we'll talk a little more about that when we get to that point. I doubt we will get to that today. The UK just declared war on the Republic of Mexico. So did the French Empire. That's rather interesting. And here's the situation. The Union has turned the tide in the American Civil War. They've marched in. They've taken western Tennessee. They've taken back some of almost all the territory in Illinois now. They're into northern Arkansas even. So definitely a change of fortunes there. Are the Brits still at war with the Russians too? The Brits are really just doing all kinds of things right now. That's not been a real costly war. I don't really know what they're fighting over. But here, Mexico is going to have its hands full. A couple of years ago, the Danes built in Flensburg a statue of a lion commemorating their victory over German forces. Now that we own Flensburg, perhaps it's time to get rid of this symbol of German defeat. Base war support. Now, I think we'll actually let the statue be because that'll gain us some stability. And I'd rather have that. So you can see the new territory we've got. I want to take a look and see where our power projection is now at this point. See if we've passed the Austrians yet. Not quite. We're 1 point behind them. We're up to 33 factories, 76 divisions. Things really haven't changed a whole lot there. We've got a new decision that's available to us, though. Let's see what this is. If it's anything of any importance. No. I need to start bringing my political stability back up, and in order to do that, one of the easiest ways to do that is to get laws passed. So let's take a look. Child labor is already restricted. I don't know what changing that would do, but I'm trying to think of things that aren't going to rock the boat too much, but that would be helpful. Maybe we will switch to low health care. So let's vote in a month. Let's see what the vote will be on that. We need to start moving that political stability up before it gets any worse. All right, we've got the votes to pass that. It appears it won't be too hard. Sometimes it can be a little off, so 20 vote margin isn't a lot, but I think I'll be content to sit back and let that happen. All right, we should be just about ready for that vote to take place. Hopefully it passes and gets our political stability a little boost. You can see right now it's hurting our numbers. Oh, we end up getting 167, even better. So that gets us back up to 0. But I'd like to see it do even better than that. We've got almost 22 million people now. Our population's growing. Obviously, taking new territory helps with that. I want to show you what we're working on in terms of construction. Right now, I'm working on building a couple of steel mills so we can build up our steel production. Steel is going to become increasingly an important part of things moving forward, especially once we consolidate the German states and we gain a lot of new factories. We've been adding some new generals here and there. After negotiations took place over the last several months, resulting in a final meeting last week, former Canadian province has united with Nova Scotia and New Brunswick to form what is now known as the Province of Canada. Interesting. So let's take a look at North America. So there you have it, the Canadian Confederation right here. Newfoundland is still separate, along with the Hudson Bay Company, New Caledonia, Northwestern Territory. And the Russian Empire, of course, still owns Alaska. Looks like the American Civil War is once again at a bit of a standstill with little happening. All right, it's time for another vote, and we're going to vote on population growth policies. Right now we're at stagnation. I want to go to encouraged. The Large Family Act of 1865 will be voted on very soon, and let's see how that vote stacks up. Wow. Four people out of 256 are in favor of that. I don't think any amount of politicking on my part is going to change that outcome. I guess we're stuck with it. So we built both of our steel mills. That should certainly help with trade. Let's go ahead and get back to civilian industry. So we'll start queuing up some more of those. Well, that's the worst failure I've ever had on a vote. 5 yay votes, 251 nay votes. Not a prayer of passing that one. All right, we're looking at our naval research, and there's a whole lot more down here. Now let's go ahead and research early turrets. I'm just working on one thread on that, so I'm really not investing in it. I'm just making sure that my research stays somewhat up to speed so that when we do decide to focus on a navy years down the road, we won't have a lot of catching up to do. Plus, I'm pretty much caught up on everything else, and so there's not a lot of areas for me to research in any other categories. All right, I don't know that we're going to be able to do this, but I thought it might be worth a try since we're headed toward an empire anyway. Let's see if we can go toward absolutism. I'm guessing that Parliament is not going to vote itself out of any authority, but it's certainly worth a try. 64 votes. Yeah, it could be possible to push this. I don't know how easy it would be. I mean, we could arrest the opposition leaders, ban opposition parties, but there's centrists and there's traditional conservatives, and neither one of them seem particularly keen on the idea. All right, we already tried one thing, didn't work. We only gained one additional vote. Now we're trying to make political deals. I just don't see us being able to move. Oh, that got us 14. Still not nearly enough. Let's try making a speech in Parliament. We're only going to have time to do that and one more thing. I just don't think we're going to push this over the finish line. Okay, we've got it up to 90 votes. There's only 3 days till the vote. Meeting with traditional conservative representatives got us nothing. So 2 days to vote. It's just not going to happen. That may be one of those things we have to do by decree, and it'll cost us a political stability point to do that. We actually got 106 votes. It was closer than we anticipated it was going to be. So let's go ahead, back in. Now we're working on our ambitions right now. Let's go ahead back in and push that one through by way of executive order. I don't know if voting on it again. I'm curious to see. I haven't done this before. Do we start from the 106 we had before if we try to do it again, or is it kind of restart back where we were? Let's find out. Oh, we're at 98, so that's actually better. So maybe just pushing for the vote over and over again is the way to do this. So let's go ahead and make political deals. We've got time to make this happen. Well, the Russians and the UK have signed a white peace, the Treaty of St. Petersburg. So I don't know if because we already tried to do this vote once, if that's why. Oh, there it goes. Now we're getting the countdown to the vote, 28 days. We've got, in theory, almost enough votes, but let's keep pushing this. I think we're going to actually be able to push enough people over the finish line on this one now. It's June 1865. U.S. Civil War is still pretty much at a stalemate. I have a feeling nothing's going to come of that. We're going to probably take this episode toward the end of 1865, and that'll prepare us for a big 1866, where we probably anticipate war with Austria. I'm trying to think of what my question is going to be to pose to the cabinet this time around. This one's probably going to come right down to the wire. We've got 1 day left on making political deals. That got us to 138. I think that's going to push us over the finish line because we were sitting right at the total we needed. So we've got 2 days until the vote. Let's see what happens. Hopefully we didn't overestimate the number of votes we were going to get. It's going to happen on the 22nd. 137. Excellent. So we've basically outlawed voting in favor of, I mean, it doesn't really, I don't think, change anything here, but now any elections are by event. Nothing really changes, I don't think, from doing that. Okay, so here is the question I'm going to pose to the War Cabinet. Right now we have 16 available civilian factories, which we're about to complete another one. They take a long time. Each civilian industry costs $18,000 to construct. But every time you add a civilian industry, now instead of 16 factories working on the next thing, I have 17, and so on. So you're multiplying your ability to create things. But another way of doing that is through trade. because as we develop, like for example, steel, by building those two steel mills, which actually cost less, I think they're 12,000 a piece, I'm then able to export steel, which in turn gives me additional factories, because exporting goods is turned back into a benefit for your country by giving you additional factories for use. That's how the game computes that. So there's two ways to get additional factories. One is through exporting, one is through building more factories. So my question to the cabinet is this: as you look at what my needs are, I could trade for wood, but that'll cost me factories. I could trade for fabric, but that'll cost me factories. I could trade for raw iron, but that'll cost me factories. Do we, I should say, for Prussia, build these factories? So should I build production of wood, iron, and fabric? I don't know if I can produce iron through building things. Or do I build additional factories and trade for the resources that I need? So head on over to Patreon. I will post that question for all the folks at First Lieutenant and above. Let me show you what that looks like practically. So for example, to have additional fabric, we need to build a textile mill, which only costs 6,000. That'll give me 8 fabric, but cost me 4 cotton. Logging camp, again, 9,000 to produce additional wood. So it's a little cheaper than trading for it. So those are the questions we're dealing with right now. Do I build up my civilian factories, or do I build the needed items and then export the difference? Use that comment section below if you're not part of the War Cabinet, and let me know your thoughts on that. And we'll be back in a couple of days with the next episode and war with Austria. Thanks for watching.